Welcome to the Win Daily Show. I got Jack Settleman here from Whistle Sports, creative snapback. Jack, how you doing today, man?
Doing all right. Can't complain.
You got a big day ahead of you, but I want to start this off where you started off. What was your original plan that got you to where you're at today? Like, what was the first goal that you had that got you on your way?
I didn't have one, and I think that's what makes my path funny. And I still don't have one. People ask me what I want to do with what I have, and I genuinely don't know. I'm just loving what I'm doing right now. And I should be more forward thinking, and it's not to say I don't plan, but it goes back to my origins, which was my family business is beer distribution, and we sell to the Ravens and the Orioles. So sports business has always been the core of what I am. Like, if the Ravens win, it's great. I'm a diehard Ravens fan, but it means more because it means we sell more beer. We play in the playoffs. That's extra added revenue to the family business. So that's kind of always been what I had a passion for, was the business side of sports. And then I'm also a diehard sports fan, so it's perfect. But my plan, if I had to go back, I knew I wasn't going to be an athlete. A professional athlete, to say the least. Probably GM. I think GM, being in the front office, would have been the coolest thing for me, but I kind of like the path I veered onto.
Okay. So how did you get your start in sports? Like, what was the first job, or what was the first thing that you really did to say, you know what, I'm landing in sports? Has it been working with your parents' business? Did it start that early, or what happened after college that really got you going?
It's a good question. I didn't really actually work on the business side of sports with my family business. I was more stocking shelves and stuff. But the sports stuff came when I started to intern for companies. I actually interned for Whistle my sophomore year of college, then #sports. I worked for Action Network. So that's kind of my brief history. But really, middle school was the first business sports I was doing. I was stringing lacrosse sticks, mini sticks, because I'm from Maryland. The lacrosse craze is insane. And that was kind of my entrepreneurial venture, was I would buy these sticks, make cool strings, and then sell them to kids in my class.
Gotcha. So what, now that you're been in the game for so long now, even though you're young, you've been crushing it. What advice would you give to somebody who's a high school kid who just graduated high school or going into college? What would you give them as advice to break into the sports world? Because it's not a good industry to start off in, because you usually start off at the bottom, working for free. What would be your advice to them?
I would say you have to be a jack of all trades. There's no more important time than right now to know how to do 100 things. So just by off experience, my whole mindset is go do stuff. Go do it. I don't care if your podcast gets 2 listens, your YouTube video gets 2 listens, you make merch and your merch gets literally 0 purchases. Your experience building a Shopify site, learning how to produce a podcast, learning how to market, learning how to make a YouTube video, titling, thumbnailing, all that stuff. If you can do all those categories, you're so valuable versus, okay, he's good at tweeting or he's smart in sales. Like, if you can sell, if you can do all those different range of topics, you're going to be incredibly valuable to a company. And the way you do that, in my opinion, you can learn from other people, from YouTube class, but just like go and do stuff and fail, and you'll pick up a ton of new skills.
That's a good piece of advice there, man. For you to get through it all, like, I still struggle with YouTube.
Yep.
Twitter is something I'll never figure out, I think, all of my life, because it's just, how do you get engagement there? But you started off social. Your biggest platform, if I got it right, was Snapchat.
Yep.
You saw an opportunity there, and you just devoured the sports market on Snapchat, which, it's to your credit. Instead of like battling against everybody in a different field, maybe on IG or Facebook, you went to where nobody was playing yet, and you just took over the game. So what made you pivot to Snapchat, and how did you take over that market?
That question couldn't be more accurate of what actually happened. So I'll take it back. My sophomore year of college, I came up with a business with my roommate and best friend, and we were making sports phone cases. So we made them with John Wall and Trey Lyles and a couple athletes. And we were marketing only through social media, not Facebook ads, not Instagram ads, like paying pages to shout us out. So that's how we sold. But the revenue, or the profits, weren't great because there was a lot of cost to just get our word out there. So then I was like, what if we just own the page? So that's when I was like, I want to create this page. I want to get paid to advertise stuff. It's actually worse to be on this side of the business. So I looked at the market. Instagram was becoming very crowded. Twitter was already fully ridden of crowded space. And then no one was on Snap. And the vertical frame of Snap was actually really conducive to sports. So I was like, I don't know, I'll try Snap. I know how to grow on Snap. I know some people who can help me get started there. So I went to Snapchat, and then obviously 6-9 months later, probably Instagram replicates their story feature. But I still believe Snapchat is the best swipe up feature, which is the most important to me because that's how you drive business.
No, it's smart. Now, I never had a post go viral. I've had some pretty cool stuff happen. The other day I had this hat I'm wearing now opened by Dave Portnoy on the unboxing.
Yeah.
Story for another time because he didn't actually see the real gift inside the box. But have you ever had a post go on viral, and was it the post that you thought it would be, or it just happened to go?
So a lot of what I was doing in the beginning days of Snap was just posting highlights. So this stuff is already viral stuff. I wasn't creating content. So it wasn't until probably 9-12 months ago where I started the podcast, started the YouTube, and started making a ton of my own content. And the virality, it's a special formula. And it doesn't just happen. Like, no one's like, oh, wow, that's cool, I'll throw it out there. Like, these are people who constantly go viral. They're DMing stuff to bigger agencies or to publishing companies. So my most viral moment was just recent. We had Ennis Cantor on the podcast. And every podcast we have, me and my co-host afterwards are like, okay, what social clip should we make? And it's normally like a good quote or something. And we couldn't think of anything. And then I was like, wait, he literally said his first experience was eating Cheez-Its with milk, and he thought it was cereal. So like, that's a great moment. And we're thinking about it, and we're like, okay, normally we'll just pull the clip, put some captions on it into a template, tweet it out. That's not even going to go viral. So we had a designer create a mock-up of Ennis Cantor making a gross face, eating Cheez-Its out of like a bowl of cereal. So then after that, it takes another level. I send it to my friend who runs NBA Retweet. I send it around, obviously with Whistle, I can post it. And then it gets so much social hype that Ennis Cantor posted it on his own Instagram. So
and that's
the combination of things it takes to go viral. And we've probably made 1,000 social clips. So it really takes a lot, and it's a process.
Yeah, it's not like I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, all right, I think I got the idea. I'm gonna post this, and it's just gonna take off. And then like you're sitting there on Twitter, IG, like, it's an awesome idea. Why is this not going up? Right. There's so many different levels, and nobody really understands. And sometimes you look at something else. I was like, this guy wrote this, and he was a nobody, and then this thing blew up. Like, I don't get some of these formulas, but
I think the most important part, though, is why do you want to go viral, number one? And then what do you do if you have that moment? Are you prepared? If someone comes to your page, because if you're on Twitter, they click your profile, they see pretty much your pin tweet and your bio. Is that enough for them to shoot you a follow? Same thing with Instagram, same thing on Snap. Like, you have to be constantly storytelling and have a full-blown image to where people can come and in a split second decide, okay, they went viral. Are they going to go again? And do I want to follow along?
That poses a good question to me. And I want to ask you, because you're the expert in this field of social media. What do you think makes somebody follow an account, whether it's on IG or Twitter? What is the end all be all? Is it a good background picture? Is it a good story? A couple of good posts? What is that secret sauce?
I think number one, if someone comes to your profile, they need to know what you do exactly in that first second. So you could do multiple things. I do a lot of things. I do sports analysis. I do YouTube. I'm on Snap. I have merchandise. And those are listed out clearly in my Instagram bio. So you know exactly what you're getting. And then if you go through my first 3 posts, you can see, okay, my girlfriend's on there. Okay, so he's in a relationship. Number 2, and that's important for her to know that she's up there.
Number 1.
There's a picture of me and a podcast guest, so Derek White from the Spurs. Okay, so he talks to professional athletes. And then 3, there's a YouTube video. So I kind of tell the picture. If they're interested in any of those 3 things, maybe they do a little deeper dive, they do some more research on what, and then they figure out, who is this person? Do I want to follow along for more in the future?
What do you got going on in the future as far as social? You've been kind of creator, innovator on social. You put a lot of time into it. I'm trailing you personally, trying to figure out all the levels and, how to post and how to put everything together and sync it. Where do you see the future coming, especially now we're on quarantine? Does that affect things? And what are you planning for the future?
Quarantine's been a gold mine for me because I just don't too many meetings, too many dinners, clients, etc., games, all that. Now I finally had a chance to make a ton of my own content and build and grow, etc. So I've taken this time and just doubled down on myself pretty much. But a lot of people are going to say TikTok. I'm not the most bullish on TikTok. I'm curious to see how they monetize the platform. They will. They have a strategy, but you have to be super, super creative to constantly crush TikTok or be a pre-existing celebrity. So unless you're like in that 1% of creative, you're not going to crush TikTok. So I have gone away from TikTok, and actually I'm putting a lot of effort into IGTV. I think they want to be YouTube. YouTube works. It's on an Instagram platform, which is the most used social media platform, and they're going to turn on monetization. So I think that's going to get a lot of creators coming back to the platform, building in vertical. You see Quibi launched an app, which is heavily in vertical. Snap, their product got stolen from Instagram because vertical is what's in. So I love the vertical. I think monetization is coming, and I've put a lot of assets into IGTV.
So explain it to the listeners. How is IGTV different? If they wanted to get started on IGTV, how is that different from going live, or how is that different? And how would you set up a proper IGTV channel?
IGTV is going to be 2 to 5. Think about YouTube. You want content probably 8+ minutes, preferably 10+ up to an hour. IGTV, I'm aiming for anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes. An Instagram feed post can only be a minute. So IGTV is like that sweet spot of 2 to 5, which is easily consumable. And you don't have to post it direct to your profile. It can live on just your Instagram TV. So it really just lives there as like library content. Everything has to be vertical. So, I mean, any clips have to be edited in a vertical format. If you use the square and then just resize it and you have like black borders essentially in a vertical, it's not going to perform as well. But
so when you say vertical, let me cut you off. When you say
yeah,
vertical, explain it to the listeners, because I know it just
yeah.
rolls off your tongue, but other people might not understand what you're saying, and you got a
Yeah.
lot of good knowledge in your head. So I'm trying to get it all out for everybody.
Totally. So you can look up the dimensions. The dimensions are actually different. So YouTube is horizontal, right? It's a
Yep.
wider screen. Instagram tends to be a square. And then vertical is an Instagram story or an Instagram live. It's that vertical, it's the size of your phone.
Phone, yeah.
That's what
Okay.
it's top to bottom on your phone. So creating content through that lens is a very unique opportunity, and it's where a lot of media is going.
Okay. So I'm gonna tell everybody to take a look at that.
Yeah, look at
Now,
IGTV.
you work for a brand, and then you've also created a very successful brand for yourself. And I consider you a personal brand. Like you're not somebody who's faking it, who just says, "Yeah, I'm taking
Yeah.
pictures on yachts." No, you're interviewing Mark Cuban, and people want to speak to you, just like I want to speak to you and learn from you. Personal brands, like I'm a believer in Gary Vee, and he said, and a couple other people said, he's not the only one to say it, or Grant Cardone, a couple other people I follow said, the real commodity these days are not how much money you have in your bank account, it's how much attention you can get from the people. And I think you got the attention, and when you have the attention, you can now push them in this direction or that direction to that product or this audience. How did you build a personal brand, and what separates your personal brand from your personal career that you have at Whistle?
So now it's all blending together and it's just becoming who I am. And I think that's actually very important because you don't want to have to be bucketed. Okay, I'm going to work here and I'm doing this. And then when I'm outside of work, I'm this person. I want to be the same person. I want to be the person people are coming to for sports analysis, for funny sports clips, the guy who knows a lot about sports. But within the personal brand, and I agree with Gary Vee, if we had the money to put as much money into building our own personal brand, it makes sense as an investment. It's paid off for him. But there's also a tipping point of like how much like you have to spend. And then eventually one day, if you grow big enough, it's worth it. In between, it gets foggy. So that's why I've seen a lot of people stray away from the personal brand. But the personal brand doesn't also have to mean 100,000 followers. It has to mean when someone says your name, what are the first 3 things that come to their head? And a big shift in my personal brand is I'm adding sports cards to mine. So now people are going to see a lot more sports cards content. I'm posting my Instagram story, on my Snap story. And when they have questions or thoughts, or they have a card they want to sell, like, they're going to come to me. And I've seen a noticeable shift in that just by content I'm posting, showing a familiarity with it. So you can kind of frame your personal brand however you want, but you have to pick specific things.
Yeah. I'm not too happy about this sports cards movement because I grew up in the 80s and I
Yeah.
got like a million cards. When I say like a million cards,
Yep.
my closet is full. And I got a couple Jordans and I got a couple, like nice rookie cards that are worth a couple dollars, but nothing like it is today, man. Because, they overproduced in the 80s and the early 90s where there were so many cards.
Yep.
And then, they kind of fell off. And now all of a sudden they reduced the volume where you can get a card that's 1 of 10 or 1 of 100. And these things spiked dramatically in the last couple of years. And I was shocked when Gary brought it up like a couple of years ago, about a year ago. I'm like, oh, don't tell me cards are now valuable again. I got all these worthless cards at home. I'm seeing them pop. And, if you're on the right move right now, what's your best card you have right now? Are you collecting? I'm assuming you're collecting yourself at the same time,
Yeah,
right?
I'm doing a combination of collecting, investing, and then content. So I'll break those three down. So collecting is like my personal collection. I'm a Ravens fan, Lamar Jackson. I've been preaching Lamar Jackson since day one. So I'm going to be collecting his cards. In terms of investment, I don't love Lamar as an investment. I think it could be an investment in the future, but I don't love where he's at in the market. So that's,
right now,
it's like the only person you could buy higher than him is Mahomes, but Mahomes has the floor of a Super Bowl win. Like, Lamar hasn't won a playoff game. All he has is the MVP. So that's my personal collection. Investing, I'm invested in players that I know their floors. So Michael Jordan, LeBron James, they have championships. They're the two greatest players ever. So I have those cards. And then investing in players who I think have a high floor. So like Giannis. Like, Giannis is going to be a 2-time MVP if the NBA season resumes. And it's impossible to not see him winning a championship at some point in his career. So
I hope so.
I that's what I'm thinking. So I'm invested in Giannis. That's more of a risk than obviously a LeBron or MJ card. And then for content, opening boxes, doing fun stuff like that, whether it's a $3,000 box that National Treasures will send me, or whether it's a Panini $20 pack, like, it's fun to play that lottery gambling aspect.
Yeah.
It's a different form of gambling on sports that isn't as much of a risk. It's not a win-loss. It's a win or a loss momentarily, but you can hold cards, you can trade, you can flip. So that's why it's been a lot of fun to actually get into sports cards.
Yeah, when I saw the hype come around like about 5 months ago, one of my writers, like, if you want to get in, this is the box to buy. So I started opening up the box.
Yeah.
And it was like a baseball box, whatever it was. And it's like, you got to get a Guerrero Jr. card or this card for it to really pay out. I didn't get it, but it was still fun opening up those packs. I bought a box, a couple $100, and didn't work out for me, but I can definitely see myself bringing back that phase I had as a kid, because that was my number one passion. Besides playing sports, it was collecting cards. Every dollar I got went to card collecting back in the days, and I went back and looked. I got a couple decent ones, but nothing like there is today with
everyone is like, I collected cards, let me go check my collection. And 99 out of 100 times you're going to be bummed out, even though you had all the stars back then. They're not worth anything, which can definitely deter people, because it can be expensive to get into the industry, or you're going to play a type of gambling. But I think there's going to start to come around a lower market where, like, if you want your favorite player, he is going to be worth something. Right now, if your player isn't an all-star, you can get him for $1 from
10 cents, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So let me ask you another question about your personal brand now. Like, from what I see from the outside, it's just Jack.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming you're a leader and you have either a team of network, like a network that just huddles around you when you're ready to go, or you actually have some people behind the curtain that you're leading. So what makes you a great leader? I'm assuming you have people. Do you have a team around you, or is it just you doing everything?
I mean, look, I don't have a team, that's for sure. I have people who are super helpful. So, like, I have a co-host of the podcast. I couldn't do the podcast without. It's my best friend. We have great chemistry. My brother is in some YouTube content. I have a guy I text, I pay him $50 a week, and he makes me YouTube thumbnails, but he's not on, I'm not paying him outside of a here or there. I edit all the videos myself. I'm part of Blue Wire's podcast network, so they actually handle producing that, but I don't pay them. That's more of a revenue share. And then Whistle is super helpful. So Whistle, if I'm doing anything high level content, merchandise, etc., they're there for support, hosting, designs, all that good stuff. But the majority of 95% of stuff is me, it shocks people, but it keeps me nimble, and I don't have to worry about, quarantine hits, ad dollars are gone. How am I paying,
Yeah.
someone who's working for me?
No, it's a great spot to be in right now. I'm in a similar position. We have a team. I have some overhead, but I don't have an office in New York City. I don't
Right.
have rent and all this extra overhead, so I can pivot. So we pivot a lot of our content to esports just
Mm-hmm.
because that's the only thing that we can gamble on and play fantasy on, as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah.
When I woke up this morning, we had a user win $1,000, another user win $1,000. One of our writers won $3,000, and another writer won $6,000 on
There
esports.
you go.
I never thought that day would come where we're hyping up esports, because I'm not a big gamer at heart. Outside of college, which was 15 years ago, never really gamed much. But let me ask you another question. What do you think makes a great team? Like a team of, not a team of basketball, but a team like at Whistle, or a team that you built around. What makes a great team?
You got to have people who are bought in. You got to have a leader who's works the hardest but is the most selfless. So all the credit goes to everyone, but they all know you're actually working the hardest. And I think if I do, and when I do build out more of a team around me, like they'll see now that I'm home in quarantine, I wake up at 9 and then I don't finish working till like 1 a.m. some days, editing videos, caption. Like I do the dirty work, the gritty work. So I would love to delegate that stuff, but you do have to put in the work yourself and be the hardest worker. They say it about every great player, and every great player is part of a great team. No one wins a championship by themselves. So know your role, kind of put people in the places, build them up, but also expect the best from them. So a great leader helps with the team, but players who are bought in, and players are workers, employees, whatever type of team you're building.
Yeah. So what do you think comes out of quarantine? I'll ask you another question about that. What do
Yeah.
you think happens in sports? When do you think we get our sports back? I'm not looking for a definitive date, but pick your favorite sport. If it's basketball, what do you think happens? You think we go straight to Vegas and in a couple of months they're playing the playoffs? What's your outtake on the future of sports and how it kind of changes now after the coronavirus?
It sounds like sports are going to be fanless for a while. Just based off my conversations on the podcast, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, they all sat. Football is a little more optimistic, but we talked to Ian Happ from the Cubs, and he was like, think about how comfortable you would be going to a stadium. You don't know where this person's been. You don't know who they are. Like right now, we're still at a place where I won't let my cousins in the house because
Same, bro.
it's a safety thing, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, they've been self-quarantining. They've been home. They're realistically, they haven't shown symptoms for 2 weeks, and we're still cautious. Now you're telling me I got to go to Madison Square Garden, sit next to the guy who could have taken the subway. It's going to be very interesting. In terms of just getting on the field, it does feel like we're kind of moving in the right direction. It might be a few months, and playing without fans will be weird, but I think an announcement came out that the industry is projected to lose $64 billion. And these are smart business people. They know just getting players on the field will at least fix a little bit of that revenue loss, and they're going to make an effort to do that. So when do I think it happens? The first U.S. sports game, I think, will be baseball.
Really? Okay.
I think it'll be baseball, and I think it'll come in August, September. But right after that, I think NBA season's done. I really do.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't see a scenario where you're not bleeding into next season. I think football will be fine. How do you play football without people in the stands? That we can ask the Bengals, but it just seems like a complicated situation. Like you're going to want 70,000 people in that stadium.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see them giving up on this NBA playoff run. I think people they have to see this LeBron versus Kawhi LA matchup. You want to see Giannis's, chance to get his
Yeah.
ring. If it does play out, who's your team that takes it down?
So all year, and right when the season, was put on pause, I was Clippers. And then the more I'm just sitting here realizing, thinking, I think it's the Bucks' time. I think this is the Giannis year. I
Did you
think
read that article about how
which one?
Giannis and Middleton don't have a hoop at their house? They've been sitting home without a hoop, which I thought was crazy when I heard that come
That
out.
is crazy, especially because Jimmy Butler sent hoops to the entire Miami Heat team. It's crazy that an NBA player wouldn't be able to
Especially
get
at
a
that
hoop.
caliber, yeah.
Right. But I think the East is easier, much easier. It's going to be a dogfight to get out of the West. The Bucks have been the best team all year. People forget it because the Lakers beat them in a home game. Like the whole season shifted when the Lakers beat the Bucks in a home game.
Yeah.
Is that really that big of a deal? No. And they wanted to make LeBron MVP, give LeBron all the hype. The Clippers match up too well with the Lakers. It's a matchup thing. That's what
Yeah.
sports are. The Lakers with LeBron are superpower, but the Clippers just can match up well against them. And then they also match up well with the Bucks. But I think Giannis might just go supernova and carry Milwaukee to a title.
Yeah, I got the Clippers. I'm going to stay with the Clippers. I think they're too deep. They're
Yeah.
free agent pickups. Their mid-season pickups of Reggie Jackson and Morris. It adds more to that bench. Lil Williams, Montrez off the bench. Defensively, they got too much for the Lakers too. I'm not the biggest LeBron fan as far as his clutchness. I think he's a great guy.
Yeah.
I had the argument on Sirius on Saturday and Sunday with The Last Dance coming out that he's not in that MJ category for me. I'll even slide in Kobe at number 2.
Yeah,
Over
I don't go
LeBron.
that far. So I'm a Michael Jordan 1 guy without a doubt.
Okay.
But I am more adamant that it's MJ and LeBron, and then there's a whole gap between number 3 than I am the gap between MJ and LeBron. So
I can agree to that.
I actually think LeBron is very clearly the number 2 greatest basketball player of all time. Still is his career, still could surpass Michael Jordan. I think MJ is the GOAT. But I think anyone who doesn't think it's those two, they're wrong.
Yeah, it's got to be those two. Kobe he's been trickling into my mind the last couple of years. After I saw his documentary, The Muse, I just got a new level of, strength on Kobe.
Yeah, that's the question I then phrased, right? Is people want to say, all right, Michael's the greatest winner of all time, best resume, but LeBron's the best basketball player, which you could totally make an argument for. I don't necessarily agree with, but I hear that. But then I asked, Game 7, NBA Finals, who are you taking? LeBron makes his teammates better. LeBron can do more. He can pass. He can score. Okay, I'm taking Michael Jordan because I want to win the basketball game. And it's no conversation about it. So that's kind of where I divide the line.
All right, so last question of the show. I consider myself having a win daily mindset. That's why I came up with the brand. Taking small victories, just trying to find a win in anything, even a win in a defeat. I think you got a similar mindset. Maybe you're not calling it the win daily mindset. Maybe you call it, I work harder than everybody and I don't care who says what, I'm still going to get shit done type of mentality. But what's your win daily mindset or something that you carry with yourself every day?
I love that win daily. I didn't realize because you come from a gambling DFS, a little background with the company, I didn't realize think about it in terms of life. Win every day and you're going to succeed. Because we were just talking on the pod about, I hate making my bed and I don't do it. But James Washington from the Steelers was if you do that, I come from a military background. It's you won your first task of the day. So I thought that was very interesting, which is why I love Win Daily. My mindset, it's not – I'm not one of those kill yourself, work 18 hours a day. I don't believe in that. I think there's plenty of hours in the day to get stuff done. I think it's just be nice and foster relationships. That's how I win. It's genuine relationships. Now that we've had the podcast, you're a genuine friend. Instead of just a LinkedIn DM, now face to face, we'll talk, we'll catch up. And I have that relationship, and your network is your net worth. So there's no more industry than the sports industry that's true. You get connected, you go places. Go to All-Star Weekend in Chicago. You see the people who know people, they're in every party. They don't wait in any lines. And the parties don't really matter, but in terms of business, it really is those relationships. So just having good relationships with people, genuinely good, not using them to get to the next step is kind of how I look at life.
Yeah, 100%, man. I definitely agree to that. Like, I know I'm not the smartest dude in the room. I just try to surround myself with other smart people. So I never let ego get in the way. And I think you do the same thing. Like, you just got to have good people around you and do good by them. Like, never try to take advantage of other people. Always try to put your best foot forward and don't expect stuff back. Just be good to people and good things will happen to you. And that's kind of been my approach as well. Like, certain people say you always get lucky. I don't really call it luck. You just need to be
Luck is
in the
so
right
funny.
place and the right mindset. Like, a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say this in the wrong way. They said this quarantine has been so terrible and it's depressing. And listen, if you were affected by it and you got sick or a family member got sick, and I do have family members got sick and they recovered. I'm in New York right now. But without all that, if you're home right now, you got to hit the pause button and pretty much do anything you wanted to do for this past month. Like, the people who took advantage of it, like I know you had. I was talking to my mom the other day. She's like, I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm cleaning the house. I'm like, don't you want to do something with this time? Like, all those times you said, I don't have time for this. Right. Isn't this that time to, whether you pick up a book or create some content or challenge yourself to do something during this time, work out, lose weight, spend more time with your family. This is the time. It's that positive mindset that I said this is a blessing. Like, this time that I have with my family and my business, everything else has been a blessing. And I know your first words was, I get to do me right now. And you're probably just stacking up this content that's going to just hit us all in the next couple weeks.
On top of that, and not even from a business sense, like, I looked at it and now it's me, my brother, my mom, and dad. I'm 23. He's in college. Like, there's literally never a scenario where the four of us would have ever lived in the house together, eaten dinner together for more than 2 nights in a row or on vacation ever again. And now in my 20s, I get an opportunity to kind of go back home and live with my family. That's never happened in the existence of the world. So that's pretty special. You actually get that. Obviously, health is first. And I hear when people lose their jobs and whatever, but to a degree, it is survival of the fittest. And I think if you're not able to pivot, my parents both have companies and their companies get smashed by the quarantine and their businesses can't, but you have to be able to pivot and figure out and innovate and be smart. And it's either a life lesson, so people are going to lose their jobs and be miserable for years, but they learned a lot, or you're very nimble and you crush this time and then you succeed.
Yeah. I think the people, like I told all my guys, this is a huge positive right now. We get to hit the pause button, figure out what we were doing wrong, what we can do right, reestablish ourselves. And then when we come back, there's people ahead of me, there's people ahead of you. But if you work your ass off over these next couple of months, you could come back to the market above them or equal to them, and then becomes a huge opportunity for your brand there like that. So, dude, I know you got a big interview later on today. Just so everybody, by the time you're listening to this, you're probably already listened to Jack's interview with Mark Cuban. So congrats on that, man. Keep on doing big things. And I'm a fan, man, on the sidelines looking in. So anytime you need help from me, I'm here to help you out. And, hopefully we can do some things in the future, man.
I appreciate it. My last thing, and then thank you for having me on. Ravens plus 700 to win the Super Bowl. What do you think? From an unbiased, because I'm obviously biased, but when I bet on sports, I am unbiased. Like, I tweeted, the Ravens were 12-2 in week 14 or 15, and I tweeted out, the Chiefs right now are the best value you might ever get in sports betting to win a Super Bowl. They obviously went on to win. So I am unbiased, but I do think this could be our year. What do you think?
Does Antonio Brown get added to
no
that?
Shot.
No, you don't even want him?
No, I mean, I would, but I just know the organization. There's no chance. After the Ray
Harbaugh
Rice,
can keep him in check?
I do, but I know after Bisciotti came out post Ray Rice situation that they're not going to take.
Shot. Yeah,
they can't, because he's still on the exempt list. It's not like he got cleared or anything. There's still stuff to be seen.
Yeah, I put the Bucks at plus 1,500 yesterday.
Yeah.
As soon as the Gronk news came out, I'm like, I can do it. I can hedge it out. listen, I love Lamar Jackson. They just need to get him a wide receiver. Like, I felt really bad for
Yeah.
him. Like, he's trying everything
There's 6
that he
drops
could
that could have
do.
been touchdowns in
Yeah,
that
these
AFC. Yeah.
John Brown can't be your number one. Your tight
Yeah.
end can't be your number one.
Yeah.
But this draft is full of wide receivers. Like, this is the
Yep.
best wide receiver draft they're calling, like, in like 5 to 10 years. So as long as you guys get – and I always, for whatever reason, I grew up a 49ers fan because I was a fan of Steve Young, even though I lived in New York. Then when that was over, I always had a soft spot in my heart for Ray Lewis.
Yep.
I just think the guy has a tenacity and an energy and a motor. And then when you hear him speak, like, if you ever watch like a podcast, like my mentor is David Meltzer, and he did a podcast with Meltzer, and like this guy is like on a whole
It's different.
other level.
Yeah.
Like, not only like he's probably one of the smartest dudes in football ever, like to know the game so inside and out, being a linebacker, but the passion that he has, like he never lost a day, I don't think. Like every single day, he went like 150%. So I always had a respect for the Ravens. So like deep down inside, I'm a Ravens fan.
Okay.
Like over like a lot of other teams. If I'm ranking my football teams, anytime the Ravens are there, I'll root for them. I like Lamar's game. I do think last year was a peak though. Like, how can you get better?
Yeah,
How can you get better than that season? Like,
they don't go
14-yard
14-2
rushing,
right,
and
right.
it's like
they don't go 14-2. They don't go Lamar MVP, but they definitely have the team. And if Lamar makes another step and they add the wide receiver, replacing Yanda is going to be tough. That's what people don't understand is the whole was wide receiver and linebacker, but losing a Pro Bowl Hall of Fame offensive lineman in the offense we run is crucial. But I don't know. I think like every
I like
time,
the bet, man. They're a solid team.
Time he the funny thing is our defense, in my opinion, is the best in the league. That's what people don't understand is all the flashiness is on offense when in reality we have the best defense in the league. So as long as we don't fall behind like we did in the last 2 playoff games, we're in a really good spot. Lamar has been doubted coming out of college. He's a running back. And he went to the playoffs as a running back. Then his whole year, he's a running back. He leads the league in passing touchdowns, win MVP. Now the new thing is he can't win a playoff game. So give him a whole offseason, a whole season of I can't win a playoff game.
Yeah.
Make that next jump.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll take that bet, man. I can definitely get behind it. The Chiefs are going to they're bringing like everybody back. Like they have their entire team back. They got draft picks. They're going to be a tough team to beat no matter what. But if you guys just get a wide receiver, like you need a solid one and a solid even 2, because I don't even think what you had now.
Hollywood came on at the end of the year. He was hurt a lot, but he played pretty big in the playoff game. And when he was healthy, he was good. I don't think he's big enough to be a number one yet. The problem is, like, can you truly find a number one big wide receiver in an NFL draft? They can become ones, but outside of Jerry Jeudy, like, I don't think CeeDee Lamb or Ruggs even become a strong number one as a rookie, and we're trying to win now.
Yeah, and that's the other problem. I'm kind of tempering people's expectation because this offseason, no matter what, it's going to be shortened. Yeah. And then that quarterback wide receiver combination, like I want them to go out in free agency, and there's nobody really left though at this point. Like they really needed. That's why I mentioned Antonio Brown. That's the guy.
Totally.
That's the guy that they need. You know, they had him. That line will go from 700 down to like 250. They'll probably be the favorites up with the Chiefs. But if they get that wide receiver one, I don't know. There's not too many trades in football, but you never know. Yeah. Things can happen with this draft that's coming up in a couple of days. So maybe they can make something happen. But I'll definitely, I'm with you though. I'm not ready to go to a game. But when this all kind of clears out and it's safe to go to a game, I'll come down to see a game with you in Baltimore. Come down to go check out stadiums. And Baltimore is a nice city. Everything's kind of centrally located right there. So I'm down to go check out the game one day. But we got to wait a little while till everything kind of eases up, man.
For sure.
All right, man. Have a good day, and thank you for coming by. Where can everybody follow you? You want to follow you on Twitter, IG, Snapchat?
Instagram
followers, but
there's so many platforms now. It's like, here's my Instagram, here's my Twitter, whatever. Most is just Jack Settleman, and then just be familiar with Snapback Sports and Whistle Sports, and you'll be able to find me on whatever platform is out there. I love to talk to people though. So if people listen, they want advice, they want to talk sports betting, talk sports, love to talk. I think that's the fun of social media is like you and I can connect and we're not even in the same place.
What is, just before I let you go, one last
Yeah.
question. What is Snapback? Is it a swag merchandise, social media platform? What is
Snapback
your goal for Snap?
Sports, yeah, in a sentence, is sports, not sports media company, but it's a sports media brand that's just fun. It's exciting. It's highlights. It's merchandise. It's who we are. So, Baby Goat, that's my nickname for Lamar. So people from the Snapback following know when I say the Baby Goat who that is. Same thing with Ankle Sock Gang. I play all my basketball games in ankle socks. That's like a mentality thing. People think I'm not good, come out, step on their throat. So those are like some core values and elements of Snapback Sports. But overall, it's just a fun sports media little thing.
All right, man. Keep building your brand. You're doing a good job, man. I'll talk to you soon on the flip side, all right?
I appreciate it, Jason. I'll talk to you later.